All right, guys, so this is going to be pretty much everything you need from an AliExpress perspective. There's a ton of different resources for doing product research, but most of the products that you are going to actually be drop shipping with Shopify and with ClickFunnels, as we're going to go over in the bonus, is going to be from AliExpress. There are other websites that do it, but the point of this course, how I want to lay it out, there's always going to be many different options for how to do things, whether it's Shopify, WooCommerce, all these different things. I'm going to be very focused and show you from my experience which is the best choice, and that is what I'm going to teach. I get messages from people from time to time saying, yeah, but you could do it this other way. It's like, yeah, there are other ways to do it. I just want to acknowledge that up front, but these are the ways that I've proven again and again through, thousands and thousands of different orders have been the most effective. So AliExpress is by far the most mature drop shipper, from a order perspective, from how many products that they have available perspective. It's not even close. And so we're going to install two quick Chrome extensions. So we're using the Google Chrome browser. We are first going to install what's called Ali Price Assistant Price Tracker. It's completely free. All you do is just add to Chrome, and then it appears up here. And we're going to add Oberlo. Oberlo is basically automates a lot of the processes for us later. We're not going to use Oberlo right now, but just install it now just so we have it kind of up and running when we actually get to the point where we're setting up our store and really starting to get some sales and make some profit. So once we have these two installed, we are going to head over to aliexpress.com, right? You set up your account, it's quite easy. And then let's actually start to look through some things. So this can be kind of an overwhelming website, I admit that, but really once you kind of get the hang of it, it's not very overwhelming at all. So the places that are the one place that I spend most of my time if I'm not looking for a specific product. So if I'm just here and I'm just browsing, right, where I go is best selling. So I go to bestselling.aliexpress.com, right? So it's right here. Now we can see two things. We can see hot products and best selling, and you can subscribe to their email list here if you want to just get these delivered to you. I'm subscribed to it already. And so what we can see here is the best sellers for this week. So 77,000 orders for MU retro style double cotton yard color pattern, camera shoulder neck. Okay, so this is for cameras, right? So these are for people who want to string their cameras over their neck. $2.20 a piece, and we see that there's almost 78,000 orders just this week. And normally when you see an order here, it means that the drop shipper, right, other people who are out there doing the same thing that we're going to learn how to do right now, right, you only order once your customer has already bought. That's the beauty of drop shipping in general, right? There's no risk on our part. We only buy our inventory once we've already sold it at a much higher price, which is an incredibly beautiful business model if you think about it. So these orders normally equate to real customers out there who are buying them from the drop shipper, and then we as the drop shipper are then buying the inventory after they've already bought it from us for a much higher price, and we're buying it at a much lower price, which is the beauty, right? So this is just one example. We can see here that they're a pretty reputable seller, right? They've been open for 2 years, and then once you kind of install this Ali Price Check Chrome extension, you'll see this little bar down here that wasn't here before, and this has a lot of important information. So if we click here, we can see that they've been on AliExpress for more than 1 year, right, since 2014 November, right? More than 1,000 feedback score, very high level of trust. Items correspond to the description, right, which is incredibly important because if you choose to kind of partner with a supplier that doesn't actually send what they say they will, you're going to get a lot of people trying to return it. You're going to get angry customers. You're going to have people that are charging back on their cards, which can screw up your payment gateway. So it's incredibly, incredibly, incredibly important up front to choose a reputable seller, and which is Ali Price. Seller analysis gives us a huge advantage there that not many other people are actually know about or are using, right? So we see 10,000 votes here, 4.8, which corresponds to very communicative, quickly responds to messages. Seller is frequently online, very fast shipping, sold very high quantity of items for the last 3 months, right? So we can also see on the second tab here, this is a price chart. Right, so what we see from this is that back on August 8th, they were actually selling the same product for $1.18. So they've sold a ton, right, and so they've raised their prices. We can see that they've kind of gone up, back and forth, up and down a little bit, but for the most part, they've equaled out to about 223. So 223 has been 220 has been the cheapest price since it looks like September 7th of this year, right? So this is the cheapest price it's been for a while. Maybe that's kind of why they're selling so many, because people have set notifications for if this price were to drop to a level that they could see was profitable, right? And so we can, if we want to get notified here, all we do is, so I already set this as a favorite, but if we want notifications, we just click this here and it goes to add to favorites. And so they'll notify us every time that the price actually drops, right? And so this is just a great little tool to save you a ton of time. You never want to work with a seller that doesn't have, a very high level of trust with lots of reviews, right? And so this is just a super, super useful tool to not only know the reputability, but also know the overall price, because you don't want to buy a product that's they're selling for $5.99 now that yesterday they were selling for $1, right? You know what I mean? So it's just a super useful tool. And so we see here that they have, some pretty nice images of the different, types of styling with the cameras, right? Which is always a nice thing to kind of see that they have product photos that are, usable from your own perspective in your own store. We see that they have a ton of these available, which means that, they're quite confident in the overall demand for this product. And, some other things that are interesting to take a look at, right? Returns are accepted if product is not as described. Buyer pays return shipping fee or keeps the product and agrees to the refund with the seller. So you can view the details of their return policy. Seller guarantees a 35-day on-time delivery, but we also see here that they do offer e-packet shipping, right? Which is very, very important. E-packet, like we were talking about before, is the 12 to 20 day ship time, and that is to the 30 eligible countries that I showed you in the previous video. And we see that the shipping cost is $1.55 per unit. So a lot of Shopify gurus, or whatever you want to call them out there, kind of tend to ignore the shipping costs, but it's obviously a real cost of the landed goods of the product, right? So we're not only going to pay $2.20 for this product, we're going to pay $2.20 plus $1.55, right? So we're going to pay $3.75 total for this product. And so with a $3.75 price point, right, we usually want to have some leeway there. I usually look for a 5 to 10 times multiple. And so since people are selling these for, well, if we are paying $3.75 for this, right, we'd probably want to price it at something like $29.95 or maybe even a little bit higher, depending on how we're interpreting demand. And so another fun little trick that I like to use all the time, right, is from that bestseller list, right? There's a ton of different people here, a bunch of different brands, all types of different brands. We're looking at different categories, right? Women, men, all types of different things that we can look at here to see kind of the best sellers. We can also take a look at this tab here called Hot Products, right? And we can look at, hot products in everything. So this is the hottest product on AliExpress for this week. But if we're specifically interested in hot products only in sports, we can come over here and we can look through every single one of these, right? And it's an incredible way to kind of kickstart your product research and not just kind of feel overwhelmed looking at AliExpress, because like Amazon, AliExpress is an incredibly vast website, and so you want to maintain a focus. So I spend all of my time that I'm here kind of aimlessly wandering is in these bestseller lists, and specifically in the categories that I personally like and have proven successful. Baby is a great one. Home and garden is an absolutely fantastic one. And so we can scroll down and see that there's a ton of different stuff here. We can view more hot products, right, and just keep scrolling more and more and more. And there's so much here to look at, right? And so we can really just kind of wander through here and see if we can see any deals that we're particularly interested in or look like that we could actually really make work, right? So here it's funny, we're seeing some of the things we talked about last video, vintage steampunk, right? People are kind of recognizing that the retro, minimalist, vintage really are making things work. This looks like vintage to me, kind of with the fray here. And so, as Christmas is coming up and holidays, people are really taking advantage of that. And it's always nice to kind of see your ideas verified in their titles, right? So one other cool little trick, so we're back on this number one seller of the week. I like to look at their store. So if we come up here and we go to store, we can actually click their name. And so this is a pretty large store, so they kind of have it built out like this. And so what I like to do is just look at their best sellers, right? And so we can see here, and I like to order it by the number of orders. So we see here that they're selling not only these camera straps, but they're also selling camera bags, right? They're selling camera backpacks. They're selling one-armed camera backpacks. So if you decided that you wanted to go into the photography niche or something like that, then this might be a factory that would be very advantageous for you to actually kind of create a relationship with. And it's always really nice to kind of get ideas, right? Because if you're opening a camera store and you kind of want to add maybe some additional products to your catalog or to your store, but you just don't really know what's selling out there, what is kind of already is in demand, then if you find a T-Scope digital company, for example, like this, who sells a lot of products in this niche, we can see right here the number of orders, exactly 6,000 orders almost just for this camera bag, 2,500 for this camera backpack, right? And so all of a sudden we have a ton of different ideas of things that we could potentially add to our catalog. So the last thing that I want to mention about AliExpress kind of for right now is, let's say that, because we're going to do a number of different videos in this specific module about product research on different websites, right? Whether it's Amazon, or maybe we're looking on Pinterest or Instagram, or kind of monitoring trend hunting websites. So let's say that we were browsing Amazon and we saw this awesome like little piece of cat jewelry or something like that, right? And so what AliExpress is also very good at, besides just coming and browsing the best-selling list, right, and all these different categories. Let's say that we found this awesome little piece of cat jewelry on some trend website or Pinterest or something that had a bunch of reprints or had a lot of kind of social buzz on BuzzSumo. And if you guys don't know about these tactics, we are going to go over them in detail, I promise. But let's just say you found a little piece of cat jewelry that you love, right? And you wanted to see if it was on AliExpress and that you could actually drop ship it in your Shopify store. So AliExpress is also very good at actually organizing a ton of data around these types of products, right? And so something that I want to note really quickly, so this is kind of the view that you should be used to seeing, right? You can filter by brands, price, coupons, free shipping, ratings, all types of different things. But if you type a term that's a little bit too kind of raw or too vague or broad, you'll see a different kind of landing page, because for their overarching kind of highest level categories like kitchen or jewelry, they actually organize it into brands and into like specific subcategories, similar to how Amazon does. So if you're not specific enough, you won't see kind of this page we're used to seeing like this. I just wanted to note that in case anybody got confused there. And so if we're looking at cat jewelry, right, we can do a lot of things here. So best match, right, we see that they are e-packet eligible, which means that they do have the faster shipping time, which is something that we normally would want, right? We can organize by the newest arrivals, right? We can organize it by seller ratings. So only the people, with a bunch of ratings would be included. But the one that I like to use, and what I use always, I don't ever do any of these except for organizing it by orders, right? And so orders proves that people want it. Orders proves that people are buying it, and orders proves that you can sell it as well. All you have to do is, outmarket people a little bit, or find like some additional added value, or, utilize your existing customer base if you have like a cat Instagram, for example, or you're passionate about cats, or you're passionate about jewelry, or, whatever the case may be. Like always, guys, use our creativity, use our experience, use our personal kind of advantages to our, own, to the cause, right? And so if we see here, there's 15,000 feedback, and we see 14,246 orders for this little cat thing, right? And so this is actually pretty cute. It's like an earring of a cat actually like sticking through. We see that it's 99 cents per pair, and it looks like they have an exclusive kind of deal going on right now. So we're not going to fall for that. We're going to take a look at the price chart right here, and so we see that it's been a dollar a number of times since August, but it's never actually dropped below $1. And so it looks like it's about 1 cent off its previous low, which was on September 25th, right? And so, they do this just to kind of incentivize buyers, but we're too smart for that using this, and so we're not going to fall for that. But again, 99 cents a pair for a pair of earrings is incredibly cheap. And it looks like they do have a number of different colors here that we see, which is always nice, because, you want a number of different variants offered. Since we aren't doing any of the inventorying, we don't have to worry about stock keeping units, SKUs. We don't have to worry about any of that. The more colors and variability that we can offer with no additional complexity for us is better. And why that is, guys, is because if you are paying for a Facebook ad to get someone onto your store, right, and then you have 5 different options for colors, all of a sudden you are 5 times more likely to, have a color or style that this person would actually want to buy, and you only had to pay for one click, one cost to get them onto your store, right? So the more options, the better. And so, again, we can do what we were just talking about before. I always take a look at these stores. The people who are on like the best sellers and have the most orders for something as popular like as cat jewelry, right? It's very likely that they would have a number of other different things here that would be, just as popular. And so we do see some kitten up, trendy jewelry, some different styles here. It looks like a fox, right? Some interesting little kind of like feather jewelry, right? And so this is a perfect example of something that kind of has, value. It has a very passionate following for cat lovers and people who love kittens and people who love jewelry. You can buy it for your mom, your aunt, your grandma, your sister, your best friend, your girlfriend, a lot of different target markets, a lot of different people who would actually be, interested as both gift receivers and the person who is, buying that gift. And so those are kind of the main strategies that I like to use when I am on AliExpress. There are other ways, but guys, just like always, the point of this is to move forward and take action and really just get things started. And so the best way to do that is to not be overwhelmed by all of these different options, all of this different stuff all over this website, right? Focus on best selling, right? We can organize by orders here. We can go into hot products, and we can actually, do it by our specific niche that we are interested in. And then again, if we find something, doing product research via a different means, whether it's Amazon, Pinterest, whatever it is, right? So if we found cat jewelry and we wanted to see if AliExpress had the capability of drop shipping that via e-packet, right, for the faster shipping, then all we'd do is come in here and we'd type cat jewelry, right? We'd organize it by orders. And, we'd go through all of these, and whatever caught our eye, whatever had a ton of orders, whatever we think would fit our specific niche or store, then we would order, right? And we don't need to order again until our customer buys it at a much higher price, which is the beauty of all of this, right? And so the last thing I want to mention, just again to reiterate, always look at people's stores, right? Because people who have popular listings that have 14,000 orders, they're very likely to have a store that have other products that you could add to your collection and increase value to your end customer. So we'll see you on the next one.